It's time to get sexy, so watch Secular Sexuality Live Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTSS and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callsex.
Hello, you beautiful human beings, and also the flus that happen to be watching with you, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Nonprofits, the show where we discuss news and topics from the day from a skeptical humanist perspective. This show is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the separation of religion and government and all those conjunctions, promoting positive atheism. My name is Cynthia McDonald, and I am here with another gaggle of nonprofits, starting to my far left. Let's go with that. Malty, hello, how are you?
Hi, Cynthia. I'm doing well. Thank you.
So glad that you are joining us today for this discussion. And next to you is the beautiful, glorious, intelligent, lovely Jena Miyu. I think that beautiful and lovely, they're synonymous, I guess.
Beautiful,
that's
lovely,
okay.
Gorgeous.
All that.
Yep. You touched it. All that in the bag of tricks. Hi, Cynthia McDonald, madam. So glad. It's been a while. This seat has been a little cold. Now I'm here. Hi, folks. Hi, viewers. Hi, listeners. So glad to be here. This is enjoyable. It's going to be fun.
Yes, and I'm so glad that you are here with us. And last but definitely not least, I'm so thrilled to have this wonderful, beautiful, gorgeous lady on the show with us who has a fabulous channel. Hallelujah. The Afro.
Yes.
I flipped the R for you. The Afro Humanist.
Yay.
Esther, how you doing?
I am good. I am absolutely great. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Ooh. We are glad to have you here. We are so glad to have you here. Esther, this is the part where I say, hey, person who happens to be here, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? So let's do that. For those who are not familiar with Esther, the Afro Humanist, won't you tell us a little bit about yourself and also about your channel?
Right. So it's crazy that I'm here. Honestly, it is absolutely crazy because when I started my journey of deconversion, the ACA was my go-to. I would on a Sunday I would be glued to the atheist experience, glued to the nonprofits, and the questioning started. And slowly, I made my way out of religion, made my way out of the whole church thing. And today, I'm here. I'm on the other side, if you know what I mean. I was a part of the audience. I was one of the people watching all of you, right, do your thing. So whatever you were doing has brought me here. So I'm so, it's mind blowing.
Oh, that's touching. That makes me feel good. That is so good. Yeah.
That's totally good. I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I decided to have the channel to reach out to others as well.
Wow. good.
Mm.
And you do awesome work on your channel, by the way. I
Thank you.
It seems you just at the most randomest times, and also scheduled times maybe, that you touch on things that us here in America do not see. And that is worth talking about. And I'm so glad that we have you here as a representation of that. So
Yes.
Thank
I'm
you.
really looking forward to some of the perspective that you'll be able to bring on some of these topics. So
absolutely.
it'll be great.
Yeah, I am as well. I happened to see Esther on her channel, and also we've been, on a couple of different shows together, and I always felt that she was just a fantastic lady, and I love her content. Her channel, guys, is so good, and she definitely brings to light a lot of the different whack-a-mole things that are happening around the world in the respect of religion. But not just that, but she does definitely bring a clear, rational commentary, and just nuance to the conversations of like the different topics that she covers. So guys, make sure that you check out the Afro Humanist Esther's channel, subscribe, like the videos, all that great jazz. It is definitely worth your time.
And definitely request her to come back.
Yes.
For nonprofits. That's important.
Yes.
I will be back. I
Yes.
will be back. Absolutely. I will be back.
Yes. As we say in the States, we'll keep the light on for you.
Oh, yes.
Yes. All right. Well, everybody, we do have some topics that we're going to talk about today. In our first segment, rather, we're going to be doing a looking back with an update about an ex-bishop from the Catholic Church who has a new job that we're going to discuss. In our second segment, Nigeria and in Egypt discuss religious moderation to fight extremism. And our next topic after that, we're going to discuss a Jamaican pastor who demanded sacrificial human beheading. There's going to be like some updates about that. And also in our last topic, we're going to do a step in the right direction concerning the archdiocese of the Catholic archdiocese in New Orleans, rather, that pays for false Katrina claims. And as with all of our shows, links to today's topics and news we discuss are available in the description below. So feel free to pause this video, like, these, like the 2 lines, like for pausing, right? And then you can read the material for yourself. And don't just take our word for it, but make sure that you come back to hear our discussions. And before we actually get into the discussion, at the onslaught of this particular recording, just want to touch base for a conversation that happened last week about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. As we know that Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted of all charges in Kenosha, Wisconsin. For you all who may be unfamiliar, Kyle Rittenhouse, then 17, now 18 years old, was a individual from Antioch, Illinois, who traveled across state lines to Kenosha, Wisconsin, to go to a Black Lives Matter protest that ended up having an altercation with a few of the protesters, and shot 3 people. 2 of them died and 1 was injured. And so with that particular case, he was acquitted. However, another trial that happened fairly simultaneously that a lot of people were looking at was about the Ahmaud Arbery case, who was a young man in Georgia who was killed by a father and son, and also filmed by the father and son's neighbor. They were on trial, and just today, as of November 24th, 2021, they were convicted on all charges. And just stay tuned for any updates and also a possible breakdown of those cases. We do have legal eagles on our panels that we can go ahead and start to have on to the show so that they can break down those cases and what were the differences. So, with that out of the way, I think it's time for us to go into our first segment called Looking Back.
Looking back.
Always love those interstitials, guys. Now, we are going to be talking about this first segment, and the person that's going to be discussing it or bringing us into this segment was our lovely Jena Miyu. Jena, take it away.
Well, thank you, Miss Cynthia. So this is something we have previously discussed here on the nonprofits. And actually, I will go ahead and introduce the other Jena Miyu to give you guys a little bit of a background feedback, just to recall some memory about why we have a little update regarding this particular individual by the name of Ex-Bishop Novell. Roll that film, please. Very interesting love story to tell all the world. And so there is or I should say was, a Spanish bishop, named Xavier Novell. Used to be known as being ultra conservative and pro conversion therapy and pro exorcisms, which is still a thing. I don't know why, but anyway, he recently resigned last month from the Roman Catholic Church due to an emerged media story about him falling in love with a woman, a divorcee, by the name of Sylvia Caballo. She is a psychologist and an erotic novelist who writes novels based on, quote, satanic. I was going to say Santana. I don't know why.
Satanic.
Yeah, satanic tinged erotic fiction. Saucy. So he felt, and of course, this kind of builds into a conversation about, priests not being able to marry and things like that. But he felt his love was so strong and he was so enticed and enraptured by her Satanist scriptures and novels and tempting and temptress and Jezebel, because women are just sinful and they just capture men into their sinful ways, that he had to leave the church. And now he works doing something else. I don't know what, but I mean, he's not in the church anymore. Thank you, Jena Miyu. I appreciate that report. So 2 things. We do have an update on what said Ex-Bishop Novell is up to. So that's first. 2, I really appreciate Mateo's reaction. For a cartoon, he is very expressant, like almost instantaneous, like in human time. It's great. I love it. Magnifique. Mateo,
all cartoon lives matter.
All cartoon lives matter. Indeed. Indeed. Anywho, yeah. Yes, indeed. One would say animated. Quite animated. But thank you, Mateo. Well, as previous Jena Miyu was saying, there is an update on what Ex-Bishop Novell is up to these days. He has found new employment. The man is getting paid, y'all, which is good. He has to feed himself and his, current lover, still together. So, well, can anyone guess what he's up to? Any idea?
Oh,
We don't know. That's the thing. There's been speculation by his former colleagues in the Catholic Church,
True.
but I think they're jealous.
I mean,
I think that they're jealous too, Malty.
Or they got something against him.
Yeah, and it may be his new occupation.
It may be. It may be. You know what? I'd be lying if I didn't say I was a little bit jelly belly. But turns out his new occupation, to put it in the best terms, he is a farm researcher. To put it in more specific terms, he is farming pigs. To be more specific, he is farming pigs seed, things that come out that is not urine. So he's a seed pig farmer. He farms the pig. Y'all get it. He works there. He works in that industry in Spain, farming pig seed. I was advised to say seed.
Nice.
But yes. Thank you.
That's
So,
really
yes,
nice.
yes. He is working for Semen Cardona.
Yes.
And he's bringing the highest quality piglet producing products to market.
Grade.
It took me 5 minutes to work on that.
It's grade A material. It's good. That's good job. It's good job.
I am so mature. Okay.
That's why you're the captain of the ship. But yes, that is his current employment. I mean, he is making money. He's trying to support himself and his lover. I mean, come on. What more can the guy do?
All right.
Besides farming pig semen.
That's all. And you know what? It's a reputable position. You know, trying to go ahead and populate more piggies into the world. You know, I immediately thought of Charlotte's Web and Wilbur. You know, some pig. Wilbur. You know, yeah, I love that. I love that show. Y'all should check it out. Great book too. By the way, just want to let that clear.
Need that bacon.
Yeah. But bum ching.
When I was trying to actually research what is done at these they have like 19 facilities now. They're producing like 3 million doses a year that they can. So used to be, I guess, the people that would own the boars would truck them from sow farm to sow farm, and you know that's cost, that's money, that's possible endangerment of the animal. Now all of that is done robotically, and then that is collected, goes through a lab, is you know, I don't know exactly how they package them for later use, but then that's how they're doing it these days. So I think what this company does is it contracts with the owner of these highly qualified genetic producers to do the dirty work.
Is it dirty? We don't really want to. We don't really want to shame people.
No,
I'm not ready.
It isn't.
Yeah, and actually, exactly. And you know, so to speak, it is Thursday in Esther's neck of the woods, so it's totally okay to preface that. Now, I thought it was a little ironic. If I can just kind of go back to the first story that we covered about Bishop or ex-Bishop Novell, I believe. He actually, when he left the church to be with the satanic erotic writer, bless her heart, he was actually trying to get a job in as an ergonomist.
Yes.
Yes. And so like, yeah, I was like, okay, so like when he was trying to go ahead and just get like, you know, the whole job into that. And for those who may not be aware of what an ergonomist is they're an expert in the soil management and crop production. So apparently Bishop Novell or ex-Bishop Novell has a background in farming per se, or you know, or in that particular aspect. So I suppose, like, because like I was thinking to myself, I'm like, you know, how at getting this particular job, spilling the seed per se of said piggy, said swine, that this, you know, gets into the field of ergonomy. agronomy.
That's it.
Yeah, let's go with that. But I mean, like, it's
entry level to get what you want. You get steps. You take steps.
Absolutely.
Step your stones. Step your stones.
And
Go ahead,
for me, this was a man who, at one time, used to do conversion therapy.
Yes.
Right, and
exorcisms.
He's no longer,
yes.
exorcisms, and all of that, and to come away from that, and be working with pigs. Now, considering some people, when they hear pigs, they think, just in some cultures and some religions, pigs are a no.
Right.
Some people don't want to hear about pigs. They would not eat anything that comes from pigs. And, to go from doing that to working with pigs, I think it's amazing. I think it's brilliant. Couldn't have found a better job.
I think it's amazing too. And to your point, Esther, concerning about religions, not necessarily want to have to deal with the swine. There has been some backlash from some of ex-bishops' contemporaries concerning said new.
Indeed.
Yeah. Matter of fact, in the article, which is in the show notes below, one of the quotes from one of the mad clerics. That's what I called him. He big mad, y'all. He was big mad. He said that it's like the parable son of the prodigal son. The parable son. My goodness, it's like the parable of the prodigal son in the Gospel of Luke. One clergyman told the Spanish media, according to the Daily Mail. It is the story of a son who abandoned the father to lead a debaucherous life and ended up wishing to eat pig slop, the source told the outlet. But in this case, it's the beast, the devil, because said ex-bishop masturbates them.
Yep, that's what it is. And I will also, because I did a little backstory research on Sir Ex-Bishop Novell, because interestingly enough, we have to be, I think we'll all agree after I finish, this expose that I dove into to discover a little more background about Ex-Bishop Novell, is that we have to really appreciate that he has this current job, as dirty or as lovingly sexual or sinful that it may be. There is a very interesting aspect about this guy, and we can certainly agree that if he were to move further and if he still had his previous job, a lot of things would be a lot worse. Case in point is that obviously we do know he had a history of pro conversion therapy, pro exorcism, practiced it himself. But he was seen as a very watched potential pope status individual. He prior to his him resigning, of course, he had a I guess you could say a diocese in a city in Spain. The intricacies of how Catholics work is, I had to do like instant research to find out what all these terms were, but by all means, anyone in the audience viewing and listening, correct me. He used to have a status as in a diocese in Spain, and so he was very looked upon about his viewpoints, and so a lot of his peers almost opted for him to be risen into pope status. And come to find out, back in 2013, turns out, of course, that was not going to be come into play, just because at that rapid change in time, society, and I guess you could say the social society at that time was beginning to lean more liberal. Still, with the exceptions of whatever the faith wanted to put restrictions on. So instead of him rising up to the Pope throne, instead, it was more the liberal-leaning man by the name of Jorge Mario Bergoglio. I totally butchered that, but we know him as Pope Francis.
Indeed.
Indeed. So we have to really think that, it's actually good that he has this, pig farming semen status right now, because he could have been current pope, and keeping with the ideals that he had in the past, I think the Catholic people are a lot safer off.
Yeah, and the pigs are enjoying themselves.
Indeed.
Absolutely. I mean, to think of someone who once was living a celibate life, right? Living celibacy, and to come away from that, and now he's with this woman who's she was divorced, wasn't she? She's
right, she was a
divorced.
divorcee.
Yep.
She was married
just
to a Muslim, I believe.
Oh wow.
Psychologist, I think, too. Yeah,
she's a sexologist. She's a satanic novelist who's I have got a great quote from her publisher here. Her books are described by her publisher as turning, quote, all of our moral and ethical considerations upside down.
Ooh, sign me up.
The street phrases that
this
turn
is
you
what
out.
this is the kind of writing she does. The
Yeah.
Hell in Gabriel's Lust is her latest novel. It promises prison, psychopathy, sex, sadism, madness, lust, and a little by little, as the story progresses, the unreality of immorality and the cruel struggle between good and evil.
Ooh.
So
hitting all my points.
Maybe I could see how someone who was steeped in that type of indoctrination might. I don't know. I mean, do you think he's still believing all this stuff, like demons are real and stuff, now that he's, I don't know.
That's something to explore. I mean, like, for a person who was doing conversion therapy, who was one of the youngest bishops in his diocese, I believe that he became a bishop at 41 years old.
Yeah.
And he was also a person who believed and did all these particular practices, now is involved with the obfuscating of pig semen, possibly masturbating them. The article really didn't preface if he was involved with the manual labor of it all. But
by the way, the I have to say, this
yes.
is I believe they're using a semi-automatic pneumatic assist system.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you so much for making me do this research.
Oh yeah, Malty, like, I purposely said, let's get Malty on here to do this particular research because it's warranted.
Demanded it.
It demanded your fine tuning and your combing through the interwebs in order for this to transpire. Thank you, sir. But what I was going to say was that if we can kind of recall the story of Jesus, who came across the man who was like in the mountains. He was cut himself off from everybody. He was a person who would see things and he would talk to himself, and he was disruptive. People would try to put him in chains, and he will always, or ropes, and he will always find himself out of it because he was considered a wild man per se. And when Jesus came to where he was, and then he ran up to him automatically and said, what did you do with us, Jesus? Why do you come and torment us before our time? And supposedly the said spirits of ill repute was infesting this man. And when Jesus said, what is your name? And the man repeated, my name is Legion, or we are Legion, for we are many. And Jesus then said, be cast into, and he said, be gone from this man. And he said, well, if please send us into the pigs. It was a herd of pigs that was not too far from where they were. And then Jesus then cast the legion of pigs, which is like around, I believe in Roman terminology, that's like what, around 6,000? That were, yeah, something that, yeah, about 6,000 that was cast into the pigs. And then they then started to become mad and then trampled themselves down the bend of the mountain and then into the sea and cast themselves into the sea and drowned. And I know that was a parable or a story in the Gospels that was described to me that this is God showing his displeasure, I guess, for the pigs or the swine or something to that effect. So, and so like it's kind of ironic that this is a this particular story is in the Bible, right? And what it means. And then after that, we have the whole issue with this being the ex-bishop's new
employment. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So who wants to take that?
It is a very interesting correlation from scripture to modern day. I guess you can say that prophecy was fulfilled. One of one for you guys, for sure. But I mean, I think, yes, as I was saying, it's definitely more appreciated that he, maybe, like I said, it's just a stepping stone to the other thing. Or maybe he enjoys the work. I don't know. Not going to judge. Not going to kink shame. But it's far better than to have him as a pope status. I mean, granted, we have our, ifs, ands, and buts about religion. But I mean, we can all say that, all intents and purposes, Pope Francis is more liberal leaning than past popes have been. And, give and take. There's give and take there. But definitely far from the extreme of Pope Novell or whatever his pope name would have been. I don't know, Gabriel, whatever. I don't know. Pope names confuse me too. But better than having a pope other, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Malty.
He has strong potential.
Yeah. Malty, like I know that you did a bit more deep diving because this.
I did a little bit of I did a little work on the company, a little tried to find out a little bit about who they are, and they are one of the three largest producers of this product in the world. Like I said, they've got 19 collection facilities in and they provide to 20 countries in 4 continents. So I could see him as more of a sales and marketing. I could see that tying into the work that he had done in the church, and the connections that you make with those people that are in business. If you're that high up in the diocese in Spain, to be able to pull out your Rolodex and say, oh yeah, I remember when I met the vice chancellor of agriculture or whatever they do with agriculture, yeah, I mean, this guy probably has some pretty deep pockets as far as the people that he's met and the people that he knows.
Very true.
That's a fantastic title too, to be the the vice chancellor of agriculture in said country. Highly sought after.
highly
sought after position. I just like collecting pig semen to create more piggies who happen to be oh so cute. They go oink, 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 oink. And for those who care, they also provide lovely bacon. I'm pretty sure you can make them organic and free range them. I'm pretty sure that there's a way to do that.
Sure.
I don't partake, but hey, if you're gonna do that,
to each his own.
To each To each his own.
its own.
To each his own. You know, if you're gonna yabba dabba do that, then so be it. So let's go ahead and get some final thoughts before we go ahead and move on to our next segment. Malty, since you are the man with the master plan in hand, not necessarily eating spam, go ahead with your thought as first.
Yeah, no, I think it's really telling when you see the reports like out of the Guardian where they are quoting Javier. I'm going to pronounce it the correct way. Yeah, Javier Novell's past the other bishops and how just totally terrible that they are in what they're saying. You know, yes, I believe the news organizations did try reaching out to Siemens Cardona and they said, no, we're not going to tell you what any of our employees do as far as a job goes. So no, fuck off.
All right.
And
Shit.
that, you know,
bye,
Right,
Felicia. Okay.
rightfully so.
Right.
Rightfully so.
Right. Bye, Felicia. Bye.
My only final take was when Malty had said that Ex-Bishop Novell he pictured him as a, salesman. I apologize. I pictured him going door to door, be like, hey, got this fresh pair of pig semen on sale. Half price, y'all. While it's hot. Or I don't know. Sorry.
Straight from the tube.
Straight from the tube from another tube. Okay, sorry. Final. That's it. Yep.
Oh, and Esther, what are your final thoughts about this whole story?
I'm curious. I'm curious to know what are his thoughts now about gay conversion and exorcism. You know, where's he at with those things now? You know, it'd be interesting to know how he feels about that. Has he had a mind change, or does he still believe that those things are a thing?
To be continued.
Well, this is definitely a story that we should keep our eye on and our ears out. I was going to say something else, but never mind. Going forward, and if anything, I would think that with his new occupation and his lover, Sylvia Cabello, I believe is the author's name, perhaps there has been new information that has seeped into his mind about other things. Possibly. Yes.
Nice.
Oh God. Welcome to the show.
I don't know. Every time I just think of this story, it just makes me feel saucy. Yeah.
I like it.
Too saucy. Speaking of saucy, I have announcements. Now, because of your dedicated viewership, ye faithful, faithless viewers, and just coming to seeing us week after week after week after we say things on the intertubes and spreading the good news of the faithless prophets, we have broken, I'm doing my William Shatner right now, we have broken the glass ceiling of 10,000 plus subscribers!
Yay!
Huzzah!
Brava!
Bravo!
Thank you.
Bravo!
You betcha.
Yes.
Take your roses. Take your roses.
Yes. This is you. This is all of you. This is all of you who have done this, and we are so ever grateful that you tune in, you subscribe, you share the videos, you really have heard our call, because every week we was like, we're here, and then now and you guys came through. So thank you so much. Now, if you look above the chat window, we can now do fundraisers. And this is a fantastic milestone. Many thanks to our veteran subscribers, and welcome to our new subscribers. Welcome, welcome y'all. Welcome. And let's continue the positive atheist fight as we continue the mission of the atheist community of Austin. Get the word out about the nonprofits by subscribing and sharing the link to our channel. Be sure to click the like button below and set your notification bell to on so you are always notified when a new nonprofits episode premieres and appears in the interwebs every Sunday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Doing so will support us helping with those fundraisers. And if you are unable to catch us live, no worries. You can check out the Atheist Experience Network, a YouTube channel where you can find all the Atheist Community of Austin shows in podcast form. Make sure you subscribe at tiny.cc/AEN podcast to listen to episodes of the nonprofits, the Atheist Experience, Secular Sexuality, Truth Wanted, and all of our other ACA shows so you don't miss a single episode. So, Kay, so right? All right. All right. Well, let's go ahead, good people, into our next segment, and Esther is going to lead us in. Take it away, Esther.
Right. So, the next segment, we're going to Africa. So, two countries, Nigeria and Egypt. So, a delegation of people from Egypt have gone over to Nigeria, and it's a school in Egypt, and they've gone over to Nigeria, and trying to bolster and bring about good relations between two countries. But it's an Islamic school, and they want to promote a culture of moderation in the religion to avoid extremism and to promote tolerance in the religion.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to promote the teaching of tolerance in the religion to avoid people becoming extremists. So that's what this is about.
Wow. Okay.
That is so interesting, because when I was reading this article, I can see their attempt to actually, foster this whole message of tolerance and moderation, right? Between the teachers and the clerics from Egypt and Nigeria. And I know that they want to really kind of change the perception of how the world is looking at Islam, right? And both countries, Egypt and Nigeria have endured extremist groups and their violence in the name of Allah. Egypt has dealt with Al Jihad, originated in the 1970s, and that merged with Al Qaeda in 2001. And in Nigeria, you have Boko Haram, whose reported goal is to overthrow the current Nigerian government and replace it with a regime that's based on Islamic law or Sharia law. And most recently, and corresponding with the rise of Islamic terrorism, another group is emerging within Islam called like the reformers or the modifiers of modifying Muslims, rather, that I have found in my particular research. And when I look at this particular delegation, this is what I see them trying to present or trying to actually foster to be more so the predominant voice that is coming out of this religion rather than the extremist voice. so yeah, I'd want to be a bit more open to what you guys have found or what some of your thoughts are. Malty, you look like you got something to say, so go ahead and say what you got to say.
Sure. So I was a little bit kind of confused
Mm,
when I read about how the what is Dr. Nazir Ahad, the Secretary General of the Islamic Research Academy at the Al Azhari Institute. This is the institute that's in Egypt, and they're wanting to bring more students from Nigeria to the institute in by providing them scholarships to come and study.
mm,
Um, so there's a little bit of interesting backstory. This is like one of the oldest, I guess, locations for study of the Islamic faith and of the what they consider correct uh, types of schooling, literature, looking at astronomy, math. But even though that this was, started in the month of Ramadan in 1975 AED, that was prior to Sunniism even being a thing. And then, in fact, in the 12th century, when the center was taken over by the Sunnis, they took the books that were there. They say it varies. Some say 120,000 books. Some say up to 2 million books were taken out, were burned, were thrown in the Nile, or were used for bindings for people's shoes. And some great books. Yeah, let's go ahead and just shorten our feet with them. So how, I mean, if this is what they think is the a core meeting point of the human nature of love and belief in a single God, I don't. It doesn't follow for me that when I look at the history of this institute of learning, I don't know if
mm.
I'd go with higher, but um, is that of it looks like war and not one of peace and brotherly love and goodwill.
Yeah. It
Mm,
certainly seems that way. It's like it's not by, you know, forceful arms, like holding them at gunpoint, no less, which we do see those insurgencies happening, especially in Nigeria. But it's
Mhm.
it's more so just, pretty much banning the existence of other religions, focusing on Islam, burning those books, obfuscating all of that information and knowledge and history from these children and from people in general, just to promote what they believe is the one true God, Allah.
mhm,
And it's just another, how Christians say, oh, we want to get them back into the Lord's eye, just, get them, commit them back to the Lord's eye out of love or things like that. Like this notion of false sense of trying to just another way of just brainwashing and reestablishing the one true faith, which is what they believe in.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, like especially with this whole delegation that's coming from one country to another that is
Hmm.
attached to a school, right? This normally it does not to, I don't want to straw man anybody and I don't want to misrepresent them. However, it does have the looks or the perception of, bringing more forth, more portions of indoctrination to their religion. But, Esther, I really wanted you, to really go deep as much as you can do, especially since like this is where these clerics and these teachers are meeting and their delegation is like coming together is in your home country and I'm really would love to get like more from you on your perspective, especially since you're privy to the region and things of that nature.
So Nigeria is a very, very religious country. Um, and the two main religions are Christianity and Islam. If you're not a Christian, you're a Muslim. There have been, there's been the Boko Haram, there's been people trying to force the Christians to become Muslims. The Christians want the Muslims to become Christians. It's like a battle. It's a battle of religions, right? And that, I'm going to go off topic a little bit here.
Please.
In Nigeria, there's the apostasy laws. There are states in Nigeria, as we speak, that have adopted the Sharia law. Not all states, but predominantly up north, where Islam, because up north is more Islamic, down south, more Christians. So up north, there are states that have adopted the Sharia law, and they are ruled by the Sharia. And in those states, if you convert to Christianity, in some cases, you could be taken to court. There have been people being sentenced to death for becoming an apostate.
Wow.
As we speak, I don't know if you guys know about the 10-year-old that was that spoke bad about the Prophet Muhammad, and he was sentenced. His sentence has since been taken off, right? I think they've he's no longer he's no longer no longer has to do this sentence, but he's had to flee the country. 10-year-old.
Wow.
For saying something on I think, I'm not sure what it was, about speaking of Muhammad or Allah, I'm not sure. And right now, the president of the humanist group in Nigeria, he's in jail as we speak. He's been in jail for nearly 2 years because he's a humanist and he lives in. So when I read this article, I was thinking, okay, here comes one country coming to tell another country, oh, let us be more tolerant, let us be more accepting of other religions. They speak about the Abrahamic religions, right? That's what the article is about, the Abrahamic, right? So they want the people to recognize that they're all from this Abrahamic religions, right? So if someone is a Christian, they're from the Abrahamic religion, aren't they? So I think they should stop and think about the people who are in jail. There's two major cases right now: Mubarak Bala and Aminu. Aminu has been sentenced to death. Aminu has been sentenced to death.
That's the
All he did,
the musician.
The musician, and he's also he's a Muslim. That's the part that gets me. He's a Muslim. Something he said in a WhatsApp group chat is what got him where he is today. So I'm thinking, if two countries are talking about tolerance, where is tolerance when apostates are concerned?
No, there clearly is
Where's
no
tolerance then?
I mean, guys, like let's just keep it real. You know, as much as like I can appreciate these delegations wanting to insert like a message of moderation and tolerance, but not unlike Christianity, the Quran is not without problematic passages that extremists or even like you just talked about, Esther, can be utilized in order for them to justify their actions. Like this Muslim that you mentioned said something that, people did not like, and that's now his life is in jeopardy, right? And the thing about it is, and I was just going to bring up just like a few passages in the Quran in of itself, that I'm sorry, like when I read them, I was just like, like Surah 3:151 says that we shall cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve. Surah 2:191 says, and kill them, Muslims, wherever you find them, kill them. Such is the recompense of disbelievers. Surah 9:5 says, kill the disbelievers wherever you find them, capture them and besiege them, and lie in wait for them in each and every ambush. And one more I was going to bring out. Surah 4:95 states that Allah hath granted a great hire to those who strive and fight with their goods and persons than to those who sit at home. So we have seen over and over again people utilizing sacred texts. I use that loosely, of course, in order for them to really be able to justify actions towards others that do lead into harm. And my whole thought pattern about this delegation, or even people who are in power who happen to be also clerics in both countries, not even just in Nigeria and in Egypt, because of course, like the Islamic faith is a I believe it's like the second largest religion in the world. So how do you really rectify your beliefs and your sacred text with still trying to teach a message of moderation when your sacred text does not support a message of moderation? Can anyone help me with that?
I mean, clearly you cannot. Clearly, the text in which they follow does not follow with what this delegation is trying to create or trying to make in regards to the insurgencies and the issues that they're facing in regards to just having people just aligned to one religion. There is a term I got familiar with through an ex-Muslim friend of mine called the Hadith. And that is essentially a collection of traditions containing sayings from the Prophet Muhammad. And one thing you actually pointed out in your notes, Cynthia, that I wanted to kind of reference was this, I guess, instance where Muhammad preached to his tribesmen to abandon their gods and to worship under Allah, the one true God.
Right.
And so he preached about this, hold charity, and conditioned the widows and the orphans and such. And so he proselytized as much as possible to try and to basically have people convert to Islam.
Right.
However, since that did not work in his time in Mecca, as you had noted in your notes, Muhammad, I'll quote this, Muhammad and his small band of believers had little success in converting others to the new religion. So after decades of trying and preaching and proselytizing, he fled to Medina. Over time, he cobbled together a militia and began to wage war. So he tried to do it the loving way. That didn't work. He went by. He came back with a militia and started forcing people to convert to Islam. How is that any different from what we see from these, offset groups of, of Islamic terrorism and extremism? It's not different.
Yeah. This is the example that the prophet set. And I mean,
exactly.
and I mean, like, this is saying that, of course, Christianity and Judaism, to be fair, are not exempt. What were the Crusades? What was the Spanish Inquisition? Right? Think about, like, even when we look at the Old Testament, and is the Israelites going into Canaan, and God telling them, kill the men, the women, and the children, but keep the ones who don't know me, don't know a man, for yourself, so you can get down and do that thing. That's the Bible according to Cynthia,
Right.
and and have them for yourselves as you go and take the land. So this is something, this especially with, like you mentioned, Esther, is a theme with Abrahamic religions. Is like, we're going to take over by hook or crook, and then it seems like that after the fact is going to be the message of love, and like all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, like uh we have to soothe this overarching of notion of a militia and war, and becoming a part of our particular religion by force. And so we're going to send Jesus, who speaks love and beatitude-edness and whatnot. I'm seeing the same thing here, guys. But
And
go ahead, please,
you
Esther.
you
I'm
you
done
talk
screaming.
about they're trying to bring tolerance. They're trying to bring to make it look like, okay, like some people would say it's a religion of peace. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then the prophet, he took for himself Aisha, who was aged, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, I think she was 9 years old.
Yes, very young.
And
More or less.
Yeah.
if the one who is the leader
Mm-hmm.
can take a child bride, I don't know if you guys know about some years ago, the Boko Haram, because the Boko Haram, they think that their version of Islam is the one and true way of doing Islam.
That's right.
So they're trying to clean up. That's Boko Haram. It means they're trying to clean up Islam. They're trying to enforce the right way of doing Islam. And these people went and abducted young girls from school, the Chibok
Yes.
girls.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some
More
of
than
those
200.
girls, some of those girls have been, they're back with the parents, but most of them are still missing.
That's right.
They've been given to these men. Eh,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you begin? Where do you
Yeah.
begin?
Where do you, yeah.
So, um, as always, when we're looking, you all that are listening to us now can pause and read these articles for yourselves. This one came from Pulse, out of Nigeria, and it doesn't make much sense to myself as I'm reading from. I quoted from Dr. Nazir Aid, the Secretary General, and he goes on in this article. He talks about a quote from him. The basic teachings is that individual, excuse me, the basic teaching is that of individual scholarship, enlightenment, and deep knowledge of the tenets of religion. With deep knowledge, no individual will hate, despise, or disrespect another person or religion. I don't know how you can say that with a straight face, in the face of everything that we know that has gone on in
Mm-hmm.
in the name of Allah,
Mm-hmm.
and in Nigeria and in Egypt. At the
Yeah.
very end of this article, um, a woman, Dr. Nala El Hasahidi, I apologize for mispronouncing your name, who's the director of the International Students Development Center. She asserts that the necessity to develop a framework that ensures equal gender accessibility. So far as I know, all of the scholarships, all of the people that they want to bring to the institute from Nigeria um,
Into Egypt.
into Egypt. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
None of them are women.
Mm.
Of course. I think this is something I'll say one final thing. I think it's something that we should continue to be watchful of, just to see how well they delegate this, situation. In addition to what a lot of the occurrences that are happening in upholding religious doctrine just to impose oppressionist laws on others. And we see that in reflection in Ghana, in which they just had their first hearing in which they are attempting to pass this gay bill to further or extend prison time, even almost to what is it, the ultimate sacrifice, death penalty status. Yes. Almost. So that's something we should continue to look to in addition to this, just because of religious doctrine trying to impede upon other people's lives.
Yeah, and I believe you had an update about that too, concerning that, Jena.
Yeah. Yes. So I was just recently looking upon that. Nothing as far as it being a passed bill as of yet, but of course there are supporters and opposers. Still in delegation. Just like I said, still recently just had their first hearing about bringing that bill into actual law. So it's hard to determine what the outcome is, given the state in which certain countries within Africa and as it is in Ghana, is very religious as well. So, it's something to look out for.
Definitely. Well, that was a great discussion, guys. But, before we continue our conversation, let's take a break and just talk to you, dear viewers, that if you didn't tune in to the other HCA shows, here is what you missed.
One sweet day, I will make that promo. Nate, you're on the promo like every week.
You know what, mister? I've had it up to here with your jealousy. Oh,
it's one of those things where you don't show your best bits before marriage, isn't it?
Hashtag it's Thursday somewhere.
You know what the first rule of Dunning-Kruger Club is, don't you, Johnny?
No, what is it?
The first rule of Dunning-Kruger Club is you don't know you're in Dunning-Kruger Club.
That's right. So does God appear to you physically and you can touch him like you can touch your dad? Please don't clip that out.
God, please tell me what I can say to explain why this book is grossly f***ing immoral, so that I don't have to call into the atheist experience and look like a f***ing idiot denying what it literally says.
Fucking, indeed. So,
brilliant.
Felt that was necessary. Shout out to Nate, who has jumped into every particular clip the past 5 weeks in a row. You say some really great shit, Nate. So keep at it. Keep at it. Oh my goodness. All right. So let's go ahead and get into our next topic. This is entitled Jamaican Pastor Demanding Sacrificial Human Beheading. And I want to first give a shout out to one of our friends of the show, Atheist J, who actually brought this particular story to my attention about a month ago.
Yes, thank you, Atheist J.
Yes, thank you, Atheist J. Really do appreciate that. And also to Esther, because you did cover this story on your channel when it first came out. I know that I talked about it with my mom because, as you guys know, my mom is from Jamaica. That's my maternal side. It's from the island, man. Irie, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You're from the yard, man. So, we have some updates concerning the story. But before I get into all of that, I just want to kind of give a summation. Kevin Smith, who was a cultist leader in Montego Bay, Jamaica, who also lived in Canada for about 10 years and went to school to become a psychologist, recently actually died in a car accident. So he for those who are not familiar with who Kevin Smith is, he is the self-proclaimed bishop of his church called Pathways International Kingdom Restoration in Montego Bay. And basically what happened on October 17th is that he instructed one of his members, 37-year-old Andre Ruddock, to decapitate a female church member after ordering Ruddock to slash her throat, according to an unnamed witness to the human sacrifice killings that actually took place at the church on that date. Now, some background on that whole was on in October, 3 members of Smith's church died in a ritual conducted by the now deceased minister Tanika Gardner, Michael Brown, and Kevon Palmer. And Smith was arrested on that day after police swooped in to his church in Montego Bay in response to a report that human sacrifice was actually going to be taking place. And his followers were dressed in white robes. And according to the survivors who spoke to the local Jamaican media outlets, the ritual involved senior members of the church stabbing and slashing several congregants who were told that they were embarking on a heavenly journey. And 2 of the church members were killed over the course of the ritual, and 1 was killed during the police raid on the property. And I'm going to go ahead and stop there. Obviously, it's a very tragic story. If you all get a chance to actually look at the article, and there's some links to that, of course, below. There are also photographs of the aftermath of the police raid, including some of the dead parishioners that were killed during this particular ordeal. It's not for the faint of heart. Viewer discretion is advised. However, we felt it was necessary to talk about because of, like I said, this religious indoctrination is very real, and the religious extremism is very real. And it doesn't just happen in America. It doesn't just happen in other countries. It's happening in our hemisphere, and it needs attention. So, excuse me. Jena, I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to you first so that we can, kind of talk a little bit more about this particular story.
Yeah, by all means, Cynthia's right. Viewer discretion is advised when reading, even just reading, not even viewing pictures, reading the article itself, the main article, because it is the eyewitness account reports that it just goes line for line, the exact accounts from all the witnesses there, including the actual now imprisoned Andre Reddick that murdered one of the parishioners. It's graphic. It is graphic, but it just gives you that timeline of the words coming out of Kevin Smith's mouth. He just, upfrontly just walks into his church and was like, okay, I am Lord, do this, basically. And it's just the most, we haven't had our eyes covered to stories like this before, but in reflection of Jamaica, it's like the most heavily populated as far as church, literally on every corner. Like just the demand of, and it's not just the uprising of those all in faithful of Christianity. It's these subgroups that have branched off of the Christian faith with these overly charismatic, I should say, narcissistic cult leaders that just branch out and cover their arms over these very, fragile followers wanting to find that acceptance in faith and misguide them to the point where they lose their own lives. It's horrific. And, unfortunately, yes, Kevin Smith did lose his life in the process of them, picking him up from his home or escorting him to the police station to be, charged for murder charges. But, it's bad, but good that he is done with from, causing more harm to others.
Yeah, this story, of course, strikes home because, like, Well, of course, this is like kind of in my backyard a bit.
Yeah.
And one of the things when I first like read this story, I was just thinking, because like, you know, when I even brought it up to my mom, and she told me, oh yeah, that's not new. This is something that has happened, you know, in before in that particular area, where you have like these rising of, you know, cultist leaders that preach, or they kind of marry Christianity and kind of like ancestral worship that was brought over from Western Africa through the transatlantic slave trade. Um, Different Caribbean countries have a word for it. You have like I believe like in Puerto Rico and Cuba it's called Santeria. In Haiti it's voodoo. And also part in, you know, and in that area, and also in Jamaica it's called obia. And so and this is often, you know, rituals, fire, smoke, animal sacrifices, sometimes human sacrifices. And then when you kind of marry both of these particular extremisms together, it you know it balloons from there. I kind of almost feel like, you know, Kevin brought in that whole sensibility as well. But Esther, talk a little bit about this too, because like I said, I know that because you broke this story on your channel.
This is something interesting to note about this particular pastor. Turns out he was I think he was in Canada for a time.
Right.
And he had been charged for some kind of sexual assault, some kind of sexual, I'm not sure what exactly it is. And it looks like he was either deported back to Jamaica or made his way back. So there's a history. There's something following, you know, and it looks like he was engaged with boys. He had boys hanging around him. He had, you know, young men, which they you know, I'm not 100%, don't quote me, but it looks like he was engaged in sexual encounters with the young men in his ministry. And for I'm not sure, many of these people who come across like this, there's always something sexual. There's always something, you know, it's always the case with these people. And I think it may have been avoided, maybe, because if he's had uh, um, this past from Canada and has come now back to Jamaica, I think, you know, that's where I support people signing the sex offenders register. You know, how do we know that? How do you how do you know these people who have done this bad things? You know,
Right.
they just change location, and you know, he just puts on his robe and just allowed to do these things. It's sickening. This story is quite sickening, and I plan to speak more on this because he's been charged. Although he's dead, he's been charged posthum. How do you say it when you're charged from your death? Posthumous.
Posthumously. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I was completely wrong. Sorry.
he's been charged posthumously for the deaths that have occurred. So this is still an ongoing story. It's you know, it's still watch this space.
Yeah. Go ahead, Malty, because you got stuff to say. You always got great stuff to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, in reading a little bit, it is really strange that you know, so this Smith was arrested at the time of the altercation, if that's what you want to call it. And only now, when he was being transported, him and a police officer that I guess was driving him died in the car accident. So that's obvious. That's just seems strange. And then and I look at he had written a biography, or had a biography written, which said that he had like 800 members, and he's been an ordained minister since the age of 18, and he's so humble. And now when it comes down to it, and you're looking at 144 men, women, and children, and that was at the church in Montego Bay, where these three people had died, where he was telling his followers to kill each other. I did see that there was some things where he was against taking the vaccine for COVID, and that he had some other strange ideas, like he wanted to he had a bunch of livestock at the church, and when asked why he doesn't keep them out in the country, he said he didn't feel safe being out in the country where you should keep cattle. So yes, this is definitely some very strange goings on here with Smith. So one good thing that I did read at the very end of this article is that so that all of the adults that were there, that they were taken into custody and charged with the country's breaking the Disaster Relief Management Act. This is so they were 144 people in a small space, so it was COVID related. The children that were involved, there were 14 of them. They have been taken into custody and now are wards of the state. So hopefully that will give them a chance to get out. I mean, in wards of the state in Jamaica, I don't know how well that's going to be for these children. I'm hoping that it could be better than what would have gone on if they continue to be brought up in a situation like the Prophet of the Nations Church. Restoration Ministries.
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah. This story is definitely worth looking at a little bit more. I'm not too familiar with the foster system of Jamaica. They're really good at keeping records. I know that for sure. But as far as like that is concerned, not really sure. But we'll definitely keep you, dear listeners and viewers, up to date as we are getting more information as stories will have broken. Yeah, let's go with that. So on to our last but definitely not least final segment of this Sunday broadcast. I will start us out. What's going? me. Step in the right direction. Step in the right direction. Yeah, step in the right direction. Let's step in the right direction. Yeah. And I just also like to dance. Yeah, I'm glad y'all was like grooving. And also dear viewers and listeners, that will be an actual proper interstitial very soon. Malty, go ahead and take us into this particular segment.
Okay. So the Catholic Church, actually the New Orleans Archdiocese of the Catholic Church has decided to give back some money to the federal government. Well, actually, the Department of Justice for the state of Louisiana has said that they need to pay to settle this case $1.05 million. That's a settlement of fraud for overpayment for Hurricane Katrina claims. So the Department of Justice announced on November 15th that this payment of $1 million resolves allegations that the Archdiocese of New Orleans knowingly signed certifications for FEMA funding, that contained false or fraudulent damage descriptions and repair estimates. So there's three actual. A little bit of backup. So Katrina happened in August of 2005, and then Rita right after, and they swamped New Orleans with water. So in trying to rebuild this, there was some fraudulent action that was brought forth by a whistleblower, and this was in 2016. The gentleman of name Romero was a former employee of AECOM, Alcom project specialist, which was an engineering firm that was working with the Archdiocese, Xavier University, Javier, and Dillard University, all in Louisiana. These three organizations he was claiming in that 2016 lawsuit that they overcharged the government by $100 million.
Right. $100 million.
Yeah, continue fraudulent excuses for megachurches to get what they want. Yeah.
That's
so they're thieves, yeah. Basically. They're thieves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically.
Javier did pay back $12 million. I don't believe that there has either the case has been dropped or there hasn't been a finishing of the Dillard University case. And the New Orleans Archdiocese, who was actually paid out $48 million of that 100,
right?
They're going to pay back 1.05. Why, Cynthia? Why are they only paying back 1.05 million?
Because that's what they settled for. They settled for it, and also because they were what was it? They had claimed bankruptcy in May 2020, and they were being sued by numbers of people for sexual allegations from priests, and so they're bleeding money, and they said that they didn't have enough money to pay you back your 48 million, so I'm just only going to give you 1.05 million.
I knew you were going to get there. I knew you'd get there.
Yeah, I was going. Yeah. As I just want to say, like, I'm just going to go ahead and bring it all together, y'all, because we run slow on time. As one of our nonprofits has said, Kenny Leonard, whose birthday is today, guys, by the way, so make sure you guys wish him a happy birthday. International Criminal Syndicate, the Catholic Church. International Criminal Syndicate, who covers for rapists and pedophiles and defrauds governments and people out of money. Why are they still existing? So
that's it, y'all.
I just have to say that. But I just want to say again, thank you guys for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate you so much for actually looking into the nonprofits today, and just want to also let you guys know that please join our fan social media outlets. You can find most of the nonprofit hosts on the atheist community of Discord by going to tiny.cc/ACD Discord, and on Facebook at tiny.cc/FBNP. And if you would like to support the show, you can do so by becoming a patron at tiny.cc/PatreonNP. And if you find yourself already shopping at Amazon, support the atheist community of Austin by shopping at smile.amazon.com and selecting the atheist community of Austin as the beneficiary. And be sure to use that link to help out the ACA, because we really do appreciate it. And people, we value your feedback. We really, really, really do. So tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Tell us what you're meh about in the comments below, or you can email us at nonprofits@atheist-community.org. And I just want to say, everybody, thank you again for tuning in. Malty, you the goat. Jena, you the goater. And again, the Afro Humanist, Esther, thank you so much for coming on to the show today. We definitely have to have you back. You get to say one more thing because you're the guest.
So, if you've enjoyed the show, make sure to like. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe, because we've got tons and tons more shows and interesting topics to talk about. And I will be back for more.
That's right. She will be back because we said so. And with that, good people, thank you again for tuning in to yet another episode of the Nonprofits. And we just like to say bye-bye.
Watch The Atheist Experience live Sundays at 4:30 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTAXP and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callaxp.